All right, I turned the recording on. This is Perry Jewell, the vice chairman. The chairman, George Emond, is having some technical difficulty and asked me to go ahead and proceed since we have a quorum and all are here. There are some preliminary remarks that the chairman has asked me to make, so I will begin with those. And that starts with, as a preliminary matter, and as the chairman has requested me, this is Perry Jewell, the vice chairman, and I will do a brief roll call vote of our members just to ensure that each of them can hear me. I'll begin with you, George. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Perry. Can you hear me? I'm still
Yes.
having problems. I
Yes.
don't see anybody but you on the screen.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
The other members are Paul Fortin, our scribe. Paul, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
And Evan Waters.
I can hear you.
Thank you, Evan.
Mhm.
And then, of course, our administrative assistant shows up here as iPhone 2 for those of you who are looking, but that's Andrea Schnepp, and I'll probably change the way that's designated to have her name in a moment. Also, then we have Jim Gareffi, who is our agent.
I can hear you there.
Yeah, Jim, hi.
Hi, how are
And then
you?
we have Justin Leclerc, who's going to be presenting the first item on our agenda tonight. And
Evening, can you hear me?
yes, I can. Thank you, Justin.
Perfect.
And then we have Doug Smith, who will be presenting the second and third item on our agenda. And I think Chris Crowley will be joining us before the last item, which is not scheduled until 8 o'clock. So in any event, proceeding, in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. And this meeting of the Board of Health is being conducted remotely. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. And all town facilities are currently closed to the public except by appointment. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Paragraph 20, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town website in the COVID-19 Information Center page, accessed through the town manager's webpage, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will allow public comment at the end with a reasonable limit on the amount of time taken. For this meeting, the Board of Health is convening by Zoom as posted on the town website, identifying how the public may join the meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that most attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be advised that other folks may be able to see you, and take care in screen sharing your computer. Anything that you broadcast will be captured by the recording. So now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do, permit me to cover some more ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will invite others to provide comment, questions, or motions. Please remember to mute your phone if you can when not speaking. It will help to avoid feedback. And please remember to state your name and speak clearly in a way that will help to generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to address other members, please do so through the chair. And finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So, Mr. Chairman, the meeting is all yours.
Thank you, Perry. Let me see here. I just have to square away this paper. Sorry for the delay. Zoom doesn't seem to like me tonight, so it's giving me some issues. I've got to square away here and see what the line of agendas are. Perry, what is the first item that we have on the agenda?
The first item is 370 West Townsend Road,
370 West Townsend Road. Is that the one I have?
and that's Justin's.
I just have to find it. Everything got jumbled up here.
It'd be easier if I presented the actual plots.
All right, come on now.
Usually, the chairman likes to read your letter.
I just have to find a way.
I have one if you would like it, Mr. Chairman. I can,
All righty, here we go. Found it. My super efficient administrative assistant was a valuable assistant, if I can so say. The letter is from McCarty Engineering. The letter reads as proposed sewage disposal system upgrade 370 West Townsend Road in Lunenburg. Dear Mr. Eman and members of the board, on behalf of Kyle Higgins Jr., who's the applicant, McCarty Engineering Incorporated is pleased to provide this engineer's narrative support. The local upgrade approval application for the property identified as 370 West Townsend Road, map 015, parcel 8 in Lunenburg, Massachusetts. Specifically, the site contains an existing subsurface sewage disposal system that is currently failing and does not meet requirements of 310 CMR 15. The applicant proposes to upgrade the existing SDS in order to bring the system into compliance with Title V. Existing conditions: property contains approximately 1.0 acres of land and contains an existing 3-bedroom ranch, which is situated in the middle of the site, a wood deck, and a paved driveway that is located to the left of the house. The existing dwelling is serviced by a private shallow water supply well located adjacent to the north side of the principal structure. I performed a Title V soil evaluation on June 17th, 2020 that was witnessed by the Neshoba Area Board of Health agent, James Gareffi. The on-site soils were classified as sandy loam. Estimated seasonal high groundwater level was assessed using redoxamorphic features modeling. I can usually say that right off the bat. Sure, I can. Observed to be at 12 inches. Percolation test not conducted due to the saturated condition of the soil. A soil sample was gathered and a sieve analysis was performed by SW Cole Engineering Incorporated, Jungle Road, Leominster, Mass. And it gives a phone number and some other information. The proposed project, the applicant is proposing to upgrade the failing system present on the site with a new Presby wastewater treatment system. The applicant proposes to crush the existing septic tank located in the front of the house and abandon the existing well. The proposed Presby system will be located behind the house, and the proposed well will be located to the southwestern portion of the existing lot. The applicant proposes a 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank, yes, and a 1,000-gallon pump chamber as shown on the plan. The pump chamber will tie into the proposed distribution box, which will connect to the new Presby wastewater treatment system. The Presby wastewater treatment system is being proposed for 3 distinct benefits, including a reduction in the overall field size, a reduced offset to the seasonal high groundwater, resulting in a reduced amount of fill required to construct the proposed system. and enhanced treatment of the effluent. The proposed Presby system has been located to meet the dimensional setbacks of Title V, with the understanding that the proposed well will require a local variance for the offset to the property line and the public well. The public way. The proposed low vent for the system will extend from the system to the existing edge of the woods and secure it to a tree if necessary. The proposed high vent will be tied back into the septic tank, which will connect to the existing roof vent. The local upgrade approvals requested and the waiver requests. The following local upgrade approvals are requested in accordance with 310 CMR 15.405. 15405-1H, which is reduction of the separation between the bottom of the soil absorption system and the high groundwater elevation to allow a 2-foot up separation where 4 feet is required per 15.212. Secondly, 15405-1I, a sieve analysis was performed in accordance with the treatment guidance of percolation test cannot be performed as determined by the approving authority. Following waiver to the Town of Lunenburg Board of Health Regulations is also requested. Section 308.6, wells shall be set back 50 feet from the property line and a public way. A proposed waiver is to reduce the setback from 50 feet to 35 feet. And I think that's it. Justin, you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
Would
welcome.
it help if I shared my screen of the plan? Or just so you guys can see it, or do you have a,
Yes, it might help, yeah.
okay. 1 second. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Justin Leclerc, McCarty Engineering. The letter you just read pretty much was my presentation for tonight.
Yep.
So at this point, if you guys have any additional questions, I believe the letter is self-explanatory. As you can
It
see
is.
on the plan, the house is here. This note over here, existing well to be abandoned. That's the existing shallow well that's located on site. The existing septic system is located in the front yard here. That will be abandoned and the tank will be crushed in accordance with Title V. With the proposed system in the back here, here's your proposed 1,500-gallon septic tank, your proposed 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and your proposed Presby field with the associated fill and off-grade needed to design it.
Justin, do you plan, excuse me, do you plan on pulling the tank out or just leave it in place?
I believe the plan is just to crush it in place.
Okay, just a question.
Yep.
Any other board member have any questions?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This is Perry Jewell, the vice chair. But my question really just kind of had to do with the well variances. In particular, you've moved them over to, obviously, to the other side of the house. One, you have only 35 feet from the property line. And so that, in my mind, kind of raised the question of, are we going to be infringing on the rights of the neighbor, to be able to do something in the future? And I guess I don't necessarily know the answer to that. I know in your plan you showed, I believe, in the upper right-hand corner, and you might want to move it if you can, sort of a layout of the lots. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
And I guess the concern is that the way you've shown this lot next door is that it's a very small lot and very narrow. I'm not really sure doesn't extend behind all three of these, but the way you've shown it is chopped off on the same line as the two adjacent lots. So my concern is, of course, will the neighbor be able to do anything there? You know, since we've kind of infringed on, you know, the distance that he would need, you know, to put a well in or what have you. What has the neighbor been advised, or have we talked with the neighbor? Or is he aware of this, Justin?
Mr. Chair, can I respond?
Sure.
So actually, the neighbor is the town of Lunenburg.
Okay.
I believe this parcel is a piece of conservation land
Oh, so it's undeveloped.
that is
Okay.
completely undeveloped.
Okay.
We did look at that originally just to verify what that lot was.
Yes.
And as far as we can tell, it's just an undeveloped piece of land that was given to the town.
Okay, because I think that number that you show, you know, the street number or the, up there in your little site plan.
Yep.
I mean, if you look up just that online, you do find a house. But that doesn't mean that what's online is correct at all. I trust what I see you have shown that as being town property, and I would agree with you. It looks like it's narrow enough that nothing would be developed other than maybe access or something to land behind it.
Yes, and just so you know, this little locus here that I'm showing was
Yes.
pulled from Oliver Mass GIS that we just used to give some reasonable reference to where we're working.
Yes.
And obviously with Oliver GIS, it's not always the most accurate representation.
No, I understand. That's fine. Okay, that was really the only concern I had, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Justin, do you work for Danny? You work for Danny?
Mr. McCarty?
Yeah,
Mr. McCarty is now retired. I don't know if
he
you've heard that.
he retired that dog. Okay, do you see him at all?
Not since he went down to Florida, actually.
Okay, all right.
But
I was gonna say, tell him I said hello if you do see him. I know Danny quite well. I didn't realize he retired.
yeah,
And by the
he is-
way, as an aside, I'd like to compliment you on your presentation. It was one of the best I've ever seen. It's excellent. And I thank you very much for your effort and time. It makes it easier for us when we have all the information.
Thank you, Chairman. I would credit that to, actually, I don't know if you know, but his son, Patrick McCarty, took over the company.
Oh, okay.
So, and he's a licensed civil engineer as well.
Oh,
And
good.
his VP as well. They took me in,
Yes, it is.
so I think it's 5 years ago now that I graduated from college, engineering degree. They took me in and they've molded me. So I have to give my credit to them for this presentation.
Okay. Jim Gorethi, sitting over there in the air, could you add any wisdom to this?
You should take all the mystique about a Zoom meeting away, telling them where I am.
Well, I don't know, you could be in Shirley.
So this is a tough little spot. You can see by the well arc on Justin's plan that if you move that well anywhere else on the site, we probably wouldn't have the proper offset from the proposed leaching area. It's hard because of the shape of the lot and the dimensions of the lot to be able to get 100 feet from both the well and the septic, but we were able to do it here by kind of crouching in on the property lines. One of the good things about that is, again, this town land on the right-hand side there and the street in front of us. When they put the new well in, it'll certainly provide a much better water supply than the existing shallow well. So that's an improvement in and of itself. I don't have any issues with the requested variances. It's a tough site with tough soils, and a high water table, and they have a system that seems to be fit in there pretty nice.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Excuse me. Anyone else have anything to add? Would someone care to make a motion to grant or disgrant these requested variances?
I'll make a motion to accept the requested variances on the septic system and the well.
Is that you, Paul?
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
I know I should have.
We have a second.
Mr. Chairman, this is Perry Jewell. I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to grant the requested variances. We have a second. And I will now call a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. George Emond, aye.
Perry Jewell, aye.
Paul Fortin, aye.
Evan Waters, aye.
Motion's made and it is approved. You're all set, Justin.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.
Enjoy your evening.
Okay, what's the next one?
Next is 244 Pleasant Street.
Why do I have 15 McCarty's here? Yeah, that's all.
This is Soil Smith.
Let's see, which one? do we do now? This is. It could be in that one.
What's that?
It says, I can't read it. My eyes not working. The one. Okay, next on the agenda is 44 Pleasant Street. And who do we have? And they are looking for, let's see, 310 CMR 405H, 1H, I'm sorry, requesting a local upgrade approval for the requirements of a 4-foot offset between the bottom of the soil absorption system and high groundwater with a loading factor of 60 class 11 soils, sandy loam, 60 class 11 soils, sandy loam fill of soil. And 310 CMR 15405-1 requesting local upgrade approval for the requirement of a 12-foot separation between the inlet and outlet tees and high groundwater tank. The high groundwater tank inlet will have 5 inches of separation and the tank outlet will have 2.5 inches separation. Pump inlet will have 1.5 separation and pump outlet will have 1.5 inches of separation. Local upgrade variants for alternative to perk testing 310 CMR 15104, 310 CMR 15405, 1I. Lab test of soil was performed instead of conducting perk tests due to high groundwater in the most restrictive soil layer. 310 CMR 15.411 requesting a 24-inch reduction resulting in the bed bottom of the soil absorption systems being 24 inches above high groundwater, allowed with geomat leaching system and treatment, pre-treatment. Let's see here. Page 2. Lunenburg Board of Health variance is requested. Section 3A, the bottom of the proposed leaching area at all points must be designed at least 4 feet above the high water ground table. System is designed 24 inches above the table with treatment. And section 2, number 2, section 2. All soil absorption system constructed hereafter, unless otherwise specified by the Board of Health, shall be located less than 100 feet from or bordering vegetative wetlands. See Title 5 CMR 15.211. Actual distance is 35 feet. Note Conservation has approved this request. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Doug Smith. EMS. Okay. Who's here? Doug, you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Go for it.
So this plan I had previously submitted and got it approved June 21st, 2019. And it was a different type of system. It was a geomat flow drip system, kind of with the really small pipes with pressure distribution. The owner and the person that wants to install the system talked to me about changing it to this geomat system, and that's what I've done. So basically, everything is in the same footprint as I had before. It's just a different type of system, and I'm more comfortable with this geomat. I just recently took a seminar with a company, and I know different inspectors in the Neshoba area have seen half a dozen, if not more, in some of the different towns. So at this point, I wanted to change it to that. I recently sent in a revised plan to Jim. It was dated April 1st, and we added a filter after the pump station. So right now it will be the singular treatment tank first, which will purify everything coming out of the house. Then it goes into a pump station. When it leaves the pump station, it goes through another filter, and then we'll go into this geomat system, which is very thin. It's about a 1-inch mat with a pipe over it, and that's what will work on this site because it's the land is flat, and to keep the fill and everything within the boundaries, that's the reason we're going with this. And conservation did approve the plan 2 years ago, so that's still got another year on that approval. So
Doug, this filter that is used in this one, is it have to be replaced?
the
From
way
time
they
to
set
time?
that filter up, it it's in the discharge line in the pump station. So someone would take the cover off that's right at ground level, and it's got a quick disconnect right in the 2-inch discharge pipe. So it's very easy to get to, and it's something that would be cleaned when needed. I don't think it's going to need to be cleaned too much because since you have treatment first leaving the house, it's instead of regular effluent, it's pretty clear processed effluent or almost similar to water coming out. So I don't think it's going to need very much maintenance, but if it does, it will be very easy to get to.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this particular system before. Jim, I'd like to ask you if you were familiar with it and what your opinion of it is.
So I have seen the system. We've probably seen, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so installations of this. It kind of, as Doug mentioned, it's a low profile system. So the system's about 1 inch, 2 inches thick, if you include the height of the pipe. It's pressure dosed in this case here, which I prefer to see. Essentially, I guess the way to describe it is think of the scrubbing pads, the green scrubbing pads. It's about 1 inch thick, and it's covered with fabric that helps wick the water into the ground. And on top of it, you put the pipes that are pressure dosed. So the system is both equally distributed because it's got pipes on all this fabric, and it's pressure dosed, so it doesn't all the little holes that actually help distribute the water actually get cleaned out between each cycle. That filter Doug was talking about is in the pump chamber itself. And so as the water's pumping through, it's filtered so that water coming out of the pump chamber doesn't clog those holes. There's also, as Doug mentioned, the treatment tank ahead of it. So you're going to get a much clearer effluent into the septic tank. This is a really tight site. And so to be able to put in a conventional type of system, with the thickness of the system and the breakout for the system, you'd end up with walls or barriers. It would be a pretty ugly setup. This system, particularly when you're using the treatment, allows for that 2-foot groundwater reduction, which will actually help fit this system in grading wise in the back of this house. Not only the backyard, but the house sits not real close, but close enough to the ground that if we built it up a bunch, you start to have issues with the runoff back towards the house. So again, it's with the treatment ahead of it, I feel a lot more comfortable that it's going to provide the public health protection that Title V would want you to have, even with the 2-foot groundwater reduction.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Does anybody from the board have any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just for Doug, I guess, just out of curiosity, who will be installing the system, Doug? Has he some experience with this system?
I believe it will be Marty Kennelly will be putting in, and I think he has a employee working for him that has done one, if I'm correct.
Thank
No, I
you.
was just curious who in the area we had that, that's done this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It sounds very innovative. I like it.
Okay. I don't hear any further questions or comments. We can entertain a motion to act on this request.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the variances as listed.
Thank you, Evan. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the variance requests. Do we have a second?
Paul Fortnell, second the motion.
Thank you, Paul. We have a motion on the floor that has been seconded. Voice vote, all in favor, say aye. If you do not like it, say nay. Paul,
Paul Fortin, aye.
Evan,
Evan Waters, aye.
George Eman, aye. Harry?
Harry Jewell, aye.
Okay, motion's made, seconded, and approved. We're done.
Thank you.
Geomat. I wonder how long it's been around. The first time I've heard of it. All right, what's next? Next is 110 Sunset Lane. Who was representing 110?
I'm doing that one also.
you're doing that one too?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's right at the top of the letter, Doug. Thank you. Jeez. Okay, it says here, variance for septic system located at 110 Sunset Lane, tax map 123, lot 10 for Mr. William Hummel. The variance that we are seeking, one state local grade approval and a Lunenburg Board of Health related well regulation. 310 CMR 15405-1B, reduction of the 10-foot required for the tank to the foundation. 10 feet is required, 3 feet is provided. Town of Lunenburg well variance. Paragraph 4.1, reduce the offset from common drive to 8 feet. Reduce the offset from surface water to 25 feet. Doug, when you do these things, if you could put what the required is also, I think for the common drive, it was 25 feet, isn't it? Is that right, Jim?
Don't know off the top of my head, George. Sorry about that.
The distance required on our regulation from a common drive is what, 25 feet or is it 50?
I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay, I think it's 25, right? Andrea, I just gave you a copy of our law regulations. Is it on there? $50 feet. Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, I just want to make a note for when we do this, what we do here. And from surface water, 25 feet. What's that, to the lake? Where do we go? Okay.
It's right on Lake Shirley.
Yeah, is it 25 feet to the lake? The water?
That's correct.
Okay. What's that, Andy? Well, it's supposed, it should be 25. 8. No, I'm sorry. No, 220 feet from 50 feet, I'm sorry.
Do we have a plan?
Yes, there is one.
I didn't get it.
That was Paul.
Okay, if somebody else has it, that's fine.
Do you have it, Doug? Did you want to show the plan?
I've tried to do the sharing and for some reason I have trouble with my computer
Okay,
to share it like that. I wish I could.
I may be able to do that.
Do you have a copy of it, Evan?
Trying to get to it.
I have this from you.
So. Can you see that?
Yes. Thank you.
There we go.
Okay, the part I'm going to show here primarily, I guess, is the, here's Lake Shirley. There are these wattles, which, as I understand it, are more for temporary purposes to, limit any runoff into the lake. They're kind of like hay that's been bundled up into a temporary fence. So you see the proposed well there that Doug is showing being about 8 feet plus or minus from this gravel driveway. Just being a little bit familiar with this area, this drive is a common driveway that's used by probably a half a dozen homes or so that are on this side of Sunset Lane, that is to say the Lake Shirley side. And it goes rapidly downhill from Sunset Lane, all of these lots that share this common driveway. I don't believe there would be many houses beyond. This common driveway is really open only from the left end. And I don't believe that there's more than one or two, Doug, right? Is there one or two?
I think there may only be one. I remember
It
when
wouldn't surprise me. That's about right. It's practically at the end of that common driveway. This driveway area in the very old days used to be referred to as Party Lane, for those who are familiar with Lunenburg. There's a number of houses in fairly close proximity to each other here, probably half a dozen of them. And most of them, as this one is proposed, have some parking on the street side as well, so that they don't have to use that common driveway. So I guess with regard to this common drive, it definitely is a drive. I'm not sure legally whether it's just a right-of-way on everybody's property or exactly what the status of that is. Do you know, Doug?
I'm not really sure. I know it starts off at the house 150, and like you said, then there's several homes, and then once you get to this point, I think there's only one left.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what this legal status of that common driveway is, but it's certainly been used as a common driveway for these homes for years. So I'm sure it's grandfathered in regardless of what what may be shown on deeds. At any rate, that's the proposed well he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then similarly, there's a big improvement here by putting the the septic from this leach pit beside the home, into the back and shielding it, with a 40 mil poly. This proposed driveway kind of doesn't exist today. As I recall on this years ago, work was started on that, and I don't know why it was held up. Whether at the time, the rumor was I had heard was that conservation had objected to this cut that was made in here from an environmental standpoint in the lake. But I don't really know whether that's been approved or not approved, but it's really not any, it's not in our purview. So it's not really an issue as far as I'm concerned at this point. Ours is really limited to this septic and more particularly, I guess, to this well. I presume it's down there where it is, Doug, because you need to get, this is going to be a drilled well, I presume, and not a shallow well, a dug well.
Yes, and right now, currently, the well is in the basement of the house.
I see that, yeah.
And that's why it's to be abandoned and to put the other one where it's shown to get that 100-foot setback to the proposed system and
Right,
have it out of
Right.
the area.
yeah. Also, I would imagine it would be difficult to, this slope is fairly steep. It would be probably difficult to get the rig, into any other part of the lot here.
Yeah, it's so steep, that would be probably impossible. You're correct.
To move over this way. At any rate, I'll let others on the board ask you questions based on this, or I can move it around if you'd like.
Thank you, Perry. Anyone else have comments or questions? Mr. Smith? I hear none. We can, sorry? Does someone want to say something? Oh, Jim, do you have any comments on this one?
So the variance for the well, that 50-foot off roadways or common drives was typically meant to be protective against a road runoff onto a potential well area. So I've been down that gravel road before because the house just next door to the left recently replaced their septic system. Not a whole lot of traffic down there. The bigger concern we'll have, and we'll address it when they pull a well permit, is making sure when they drill that well, they conceal the casing, the well casing, to the bedrock to prevent any pond water from getting into the down at the well water. That's usually more the issue down with wells down around ponds than runoff. A much better situation, as they Doug and Perry pointed out, the well currently is in the basement of the house, which is way too close to the septic system. The new well will now be 100 feet from the proposed septic system. So all in all, I think a much better setup for the site.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, I didn't mean to ignore you, Jim. I had moved on to the next item on the agenda. I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Okay, I didn't hear any other comments or questions, so we can entertain a motion to grant the requested variances or not, as the case may be. Would someone make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Perry Jewell. I would be happy to move that we grant the requested variances consistent with this plan.
Thank you, Perry. We need a second. Someone would second this, please.
This is Evan Waters. I would second that.
We have a motion that has been made and seconded. We will now do a voice count to approve the motion. George Eamon, aye.
Perry Jewell, aye.
Paul Fortin, aye.
Evan Waters, aye.
Aye. Thank you. The motion passes. We're all done.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Yeah, let's see, what's the next one? Whoops, that's Sunset Lane.
I think, Mr. Chairman, the next one is the 60 Woodland on our agenda for 7:45. And that they will not be appearing tonight.
Yes, Yes.
And
I'm looking-
although, just for the record, this is the one that the board will recall, we moved from a couple weeks ago. We approved it, but we wanted to ask if they wanted and had considered the public water. And Jim had made the point that the public water would be superior to the well. We had no problem with the septic plan, and we had approved that. But it was this idea of having them take a look at public water and how that compared with their well. We had no tests from their well, and we wanted the well tested if they were going to continue to use it, or if they would be willing to connect to public water, that would be take the place of that. They have, it's my understanding, per Andrea, that they have notified us that they do intend now to connect to public water, so that will be part of the deal with regard to the 60 wood one.
Yes,
They-
Title V doesn't address public water.
Yeah, but they've accepted Jim's recommendation that
Supply.
that's the better way to go.
Yeah, it probably is. And they had the option of going either way. They initially, we requested that if they wanted to keep their well, that we had to have some test results. They have not had the test results. And based on that, we said that, you don't want to get the test results. We're not going to hold this up forever. So we would strongly recommend that you connect to town water, which apparently that is what they are going to do. So we can have the record, Andrea, please have the record show that. And that should, I don't think we need to vote on that. Just that the client decided to go with town water as his option. All right. What's the last one?
The 809 Chase Road.
809 Chase Road, I just have it in my hand. Chase Road, this is some. Code Development Corporation to the Lunenburg Board of Health, 809 Chase Road, Lot C. Well offset variance request. This letter is requesting a well offset variance at lot 809 C Chase Road. We're requesting that the offset to the property line be 40 feet rather than 50 feet, as shown on the attached sewage disposal system plan drawn by David E. Ross Associates. This variance was previously approved by the board along with a sewage disposal works construction permit issued on January 4th, 2016. The permit has since expired. Therefore, we are requesting this variance. Sincerely, Christopher Crowley, treasurer. Who was speaking to this? Well, I have some more information here I can read.
I'm Chris Crowley.
Okay, Chris, let me read this letter that you sent. It's probably a little bit of your presentation. We submit that the design of the upgraded STS will serve to bring the system into compliance with Title V while remaining sensitive for the on-site context of the property and its surroundings. We thank you in advance for your attention to this local upgrade approval. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we just, this plan was done a while back by David Ross for the previous land, and they have since sold the property to us, and we look to get a new septic permit so we can move forward and build the house. And part of it was this variance expiring with the existing permit, so therefore we're looking for the variance again.
Yep, okay. Does anybody, well, Jim?
So this is a new lot, and there's another new lot on the other side of it, kind of a horseshoe around the existing house that this was all split off of. Typically that requirement for the well to be 50 feet off the property line is, in addition to any other things that may be happening on the adjacent property line. One of the things you want to do is make sure that people can't put spite wells in and kind of clear out a good chunk of the neighbor's property with their well arc. So in this case here, the placement of that well won't affect the abutter. It's all woodlands down behind there. there should be no effect with the board granting this variance.
That's it, okay. Does anybody else have any questions that they might have? Ms. Schubert, thank you for the extra fee. Let's see.
I just, Mr. Chairman, I guess for the record, I'd like to clarify too, that from Jim, I guess, that these are exactly the same variances that we previously granted in January of 2016.
That is the variance that's on the plan. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I would be willing to move, Mr. Chairman, that we grant these variances again.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second, please?
Paul Fortin, I'll second the motion.
Okay, voice vote, George Eamon, aye. Harry?
Harry Jewell, aye.
Paul?
Paul Fortin, aye.
Evan?
Evan Waters, aye.
Love that quartet. Motion made, passed, and granted.
All right.
You're done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Welcome, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, that takes care of that business. Now we can move on to our regular stuff. Minutes. We had minutes from March 1st. Has everyone read those? And any,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Perry Jewell. I've read both those that were sent out again most recently, and there was one very small typo that I had forwarded to her that didn't change the meaning of anything. So I would be happy to move that we accept those minutes that were last transmitted, I think, this week.
March 1st and March 15th. Does anybody
Both.
find anything wrong with them or want corrections?
But I will move that we accept those.
Okay, do we have a second to accept the minutes of March 1st and March 15th? George Eamon, I second the motion. All in favor by a voice vote. George Eamon, aye.
Perry Jewell, aye.
Paul Fortin, aye.
Evan Waters,
Did you say aye, Evan?
I did say aye, yes.
Okay. Let's see, old business, none, new business, none. COVID update, Jim. Jim?
To try to get off mute there. So just some quick things. One of the things we've started, the agency started doing homebound vaccinations. So the state came out with a homebound program, had some requirements that we're using as kind of an eligibility, if you will, where the person needs to either would require them to have two people transport them out of the house or medical transport to get out of the house. So that's kind of the state's definition of homebound. To date, the agency's received about 150, I think, requests for homebound vaccinations. I think we've determined about 100 of them are eligible. And today they actually started doing, I think they did the first 10 homebound visits. It's a little bit more time consuming process between registering people, screening them for eligibility, setting up the appointments, then actually going out, making the visit. And then you wait with them at their house for 15 or 30 minutes, depending on what their health history dictates. So we figure each nurse can probably do about 5 visits a day, based on the time at which the vaccine is the vaccine has a certain time frame in which once you start drawing it up, you have to use the entire vial. So we're starting to do those. We hope to have those appointments done quickly, because we'd like to get people are very anxious now that they know they're going to get their homebound shot. They really want that shot at the home. So we're doing that. We had a request for prom and what the board thought about prom. The the Department of Early and Secondary Education came out with guidance to the schools on prom. They essentially stated that they, based on the medical experts, they wouldn't recommend that it happens. There's some of the language too. I think I shared it with the chairman. So if anybody else would like the document, I'm more than happy to pass it along. The document actually covered all kinds of extracurricular school activities. school, I did talk to the school nurse, and between the two of us and our, recollection of prom from, in my case, many years ago, I don't see how there's anything about a prom activity that is socially distant. So it is unfortunate that the kids are coming up again and they're stuck with this COVID-related issue with one of their last school activities. But I don't see how we could recommend that would be a good activity to do. So if they're asking, my recommendation would be no. And I think the DESI recommendation talks about probably having some other kind of school celebration. I don't know what that would be. That would be the same thing as prom or even close to prom, but it is unfortunate at this point where we're seeing cases go up. We're seeing the variants that are in the area. We're seeing more younger people getting the disease. I just don't see where that would be a responsible thing to do. The past couple of, the state publishes on Thursday their 2-week rolling numbers, and the past two numbers has Lunenburg around 17 cases, which is better than the 30 and the 37 from the previous week. So I'm happy to see that the trend is trending down a bit. I'd be happy to see all of the cases go away. We've, at the agency district-wide, we were probably 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 now, we were seeing cases in the teens on a daily basis for the whole district, which are quite encouraging. Then they started bouncing between the mid-20s and even up to 40 again. Over the weekend at 37. The past 2 days, they've been in the teens again. So I'm hoping that that's a beginning of a downward trend again. I don't know. We'll see what school, what Easter brings and what school vacation may bring. But hopefully people minimize their travel or do it in a responsible manner.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I had one little question for Jim, or
I'm sorry, Barry.
just, through you to Jim. I would ask that guidance that he referred to, that he had shown you or shared with you,
Yes.
that maybe Andrea could send that to the other board members
Sure.
as well.
Yep.
I think that, Evan and Paul, and even to a greater extent probably than I, have more, more interest in what's going on with regard to school
Yeah, we
activity.
can do that.
It's, from the way it was described, it's not only prom, but other activities.
There are other school activities in there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be good to share with the board. We certainly agree, I think, Jim, with your recommendations and with the way you summarized them, that it's.
You want the truth, Jim? I didn't even read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I said, I feel bad for the kids. This is
Sure.
second year
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
high school seniors are
Yeah.
kind of getting a bum rap because of the virus. And
Well, hopefully they'll do better by graduation time.
I read it, started reading it, and I said, this has nothing to do with us really, because we're not going to be asked for a recommendation for the school. So you pretty much
But Andrew, if you could do that, that'd be great.
let them take care of it. Okay, we'll send one out. Let's see, what else do we have here? Permits, we don't have any permits to do. Inspection reports, we're not doing those. Public discussion, do we have anybody who wants to discuss in public?
I have a question for Jim.
What's that?
I have a question for Jim.
Jim?
yeah,
Flea market up the street is asking to open this coming week. Do you see anything that precludes them from doing that? Not the food service, just the flea market.
again, it's kind of they really should be following like the retail standards and probably the outdoor standards, the outdoor gathering limit standards too. I'll have to take a look at that. What happens with the gathering limit in the governor's orders, it defers to the individual sector-specific workplace safety standards. For instance, if you go up to Walmart, a Walmart's not limited to 150 people indoors. They're limited by the retail standards. And I think they can have like 50% of their capacity in there. So if there's another standard in place, that standard takes the place of the gathering order. So I'll have to take a look at that. I mean, there are some of these things, I mean, that's obviously a retail setting.
Right, outside
how it-
retail setting.
So I'll take a look at that and see how that if the retail standards actually address that, or if you just end up deferring to the gathering order, which would be 150 people for an outdoor activity.
Okay,
In any case, they need to, sometimes you take a look at the limits in the governor's orders, and then if you look at those standards, there's still a requirement that you maintain the 6-foot social distancing requirement. So even if you could have, say, indoors, 100 people indoors, if you can't meet the 6-foot separation, that 6-foot separation will really govern the limit, and probably would make it less than the 100 that would be allowed in an indoor activity. So it's not just the straight limit, it's the limit and your ability to social distance when you're doing indoors.
yeah, well, they're outside, but they have
Yep.
the one big things and they have the this and they have the that, so.
Yep.
Let me know,
I-
please.
I've seen people at flea markets and at yard sales, and again,
They don't
another
care.
activity there where people don't always
Yeah, they
seem
don't
to
care.
do the social distancing. So, yeah.
No, they don't care.
Well, it's sometimes with events, what's important is to talk to the event organizer and really stress the importance of putting out visual clues to help people realize what the 6-foot distance is. Sometimes people just don't get it. And if you, to me, it helps in 2 ways. One, for those people who are pretty conscientious, they have a marker now to kind of stay the 6 feet apart. And for those who either don't or are a little clueless, you can kind of point them out to people without really insulting them, that in fact, please kind of take a look at the marker. So I can have that conversation too.
Okay,
Okay, anybody else? Anything? No, okay,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I have a question for Andrea. We all gathered at the Lunenburg Middle School, and God, I almost got it wrong. I showed up at the old one, but I showed up in time. So what's the next step for us? If I remember right, because I've done this twice already. I think I started in 2014 is when I met you and George at the old middle school,
right.
right. So when is that supposed to take place? Is it April 6th?
What will happen is you don't have an opponent for you. Plus, we don't have a 5th person for the board. So you're on the ballot for Board of Health. So you'll be on the ballot when we vote in May.
Okay, and that's the town meeting,
Right. You don't have to pull nomination papers because you were at caucus and you were the person that they put in that slot and you're running unopposed.
No, and you accepted that nomination that night,
Right.
didn't you?
Yes, I
If you
did.
hadn't done that, then you would have to stop by, Kathy's office and sign. You
Right.
were-
Between 10 and 2, you can do that.
But it's not town meeting, there's a town election will be the
Yes.
next step.
Oh,
weeks
okay.
apart. Town meeting and town election is 2 weeks apart.
Oh, okay. So the town election, that's going to be on the calendar,
Oh, yes, yes.
Hey, great. I appreciate you guys helping me with that. It's,
I know it's been
No, you're all
confusing because
set.
we've done it a different ways.
yes, we have, but it's a pleasure to serve with you all. So I'm looking forward to it.
We appreciate having
We're
you.
awfully glad that you're willing to continue to serve because we
Yes,
need you.
indeed.
Yes, sir. And I
Okay,
enjoy working with you.
guess we can make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir.
Basketball game on.
Moved.
I make a motion to adjourn, please.
Okay, second,
Second,
all those in favor, George Eman says aye.
Barry Joel, aye.
Paul Fortin, aye.
Waters, aye.
Aye, good, we
Thank
are
you.
adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you. for
Turning
coming,
off
guys.
recording.